Oh, Captain, till we find where the treasure be. I see beyond the sea. Oh, Captain, till we go on a journey. Follow me, we shall go foreign.
Alright. This one's going to be short. There'll
Weird
be
shot.
a longer video on it, from my understanding. This one's only 5 minutes long. And it does require a little bit of explanation before I start it. I'm Eastern Orthodox. This is a priest and a deacon speaking about these subjects. So it is going to be from a more religious standpoint. They have had interesting takes on things. I haven't heard this one yet, but my husband said it was interesting, and I like fairies, and it's about fairies. So I wanted to see what it is. I'm not looking to get into a debate. I haven't been Eastern Orthodox that long, and with my injury and stuff, I am not as well read as other people. So don't expect me to be super knowledgeable. And I might even be like talking out the side of my neck. Um, that'll change over time, but this is not why I'm watching this. I'm watching it because I think it will be interesting. It is called Fairies Are the Broken Down Remnants of Ancient Spiritual Hierarchies. And again, it's only like 5 minutes and 7 seconds long. So let's see. I just think it'll be cool. Uh, the channel is The Great Tells, by the way.
Justin Hover actually has a really, I think, provocative thing to say. He says, Fae, that is fairies, are the cracks on the edge of civilization. Not quite here be dragons, more just the weird shadows in the corner of your eye. What do you think of that?
I'm not. That's a really interesting way to put it. First off, that person has a really cool way with words. I like it a lot. So, yeah, I like the phrasing.
I like that.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, so the thing is that a fairy is something that you cannot quite pin down. As soon as you pin it down, it becomes something else.
He's not wrong.
Dragons are this way a little bit too.
Yeah.
Where if you focus on them too much and you try to like taxonomize them, then they always end up in some other category. The whole point of a fairy is this thing that's on the edge of your perception. It's on the edge of your experience. It's the broken down remnants left over from something that came before. I mean, you mentioned.
I actually kind of like that because if you look at a lot of the older Tales of Fae and how they work, they are really mysterious, really odd, really ever shifting depending on the culture. And yeah, I kind of like that from that standpoint.
You know, like Fomorians and things like that. But there are people's, you know, if you look at the book of the invasions of Ireland or something like that, which I've done a universal history episode on, some of those groups were obviously like sort of Nephilim in the sense that they were giants, they were half god and half man, et cetera, et cetera. And then other groups came in and completely eradicated them, and then other groups came in and eradicated them, and then other groups came in. Because if you're in Brittany or if you're in the British Isles, you are on the edge of the world. And it's where everything gets pushed to at the end, right?
Gosh, if you consider like that from that standpoint, the New World, the Americas, not having been discovered yet. Yeah, he's right. He is completely right. You were on the edge of the world. All right, sorry, one of my kids was asking something. So yeah, no, I agree with that thought there.
When it sort of runs out, this is where the remainder goes.
That's where all the fairy refugees are.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to think about it, is that fairies are sort of refugees from broken spiritual hierarchies. This doesn't mean that they're neutral spirits. The point is not the neutrality. The point is the ambiguity, and those are not the same thing.
Yeah.
And so in all of the eyewitness accounts, and there are quite many, where fairies
There
encounter
are.
Christians, the fairies almost always want.
There are, but you got to question, like, there is a lot you have to question as far as like those eyewitness accounts go. I'm pretty skeptical when it does come to things like that, because people can say anything and people can imagine anything. So, are they real? Did they actually see something weird? Maybe. Maybe. Maybe not.
Want to know one thing, which is, could we be saved? Is there any hope for us? And the answer, and you know, sometimes they just show up and they ask, like, you know, somebody milking their cow, and you know, they're, you know, that person has a really bad day, or but very often they show up and they sort of ask they show up to some priest as he's like making his rounds. They're like, you know, Father, can we be saved? Is there going to be any hope for us? Sometimes the priest says, recite the Our
That's
Father.
crazy.
And so the fairy says, Our, and then he tries to say Father, and he can't do it, and he throws himself in the nearest body of water. That happens sometimes. What also sometimes happens is that the priest...
I'd never heard that before. I do like fairies, but I hadn't looked into like all of the stories, so that's interesting. I hadn't heard that part of it before at all. Have any of y'all? I'd like to know.
says, I don't know, let me ask the bishop. And the bishop says, that can't be known until the day of judgment. So there's a kind of ambiguity in these stories. And I think it's really important
That's
that
true.
we just understand the ways that fairies are operating in these kind of traditional stories. And we do not try too hard to sort of taxonomize, because the point is that whatever this thing is, that can't be known until the day of judgment. Like,
this
it's
is not
something that has lost connection with its telos, so it doesn't know what it's moving to.
I don't want to. You do a silent stream. And again, this is a deacon and a priest, to my understanding. So there is gonna like it just referenced the day of judgment. If that's not something that you are interested in, if that's not something like for you, that's okay. That's fine.
It doesn't know where it's going to end up.
Yeah, I know, like, you know, here in the 21st century, like a 21st century person encountering stories like this or encountering spiritual beings or whatever, the tendency is to want to try to create, you know, the museum of supernatural history.
Yeah.
But
or they just like try to psychologize everything.
Of course.
I am the sort of person, I think everyone knows this about me, nobody will scandal. I'm the sort of person that takes things like eyewitness accounts of fairies like very seriously.
Yeah.
Like
You're difficult.
I look at this stuff as sort of like, this is serious data, and the point of it is not to make a museum of supernatural history, or also like overlay psychologize somebody and say all these people were drunk, or all these people were crazy, or all these people. It's like, no, there's like well attested experiences over wide numbers of people that have, boy, I'm sounding like a crazy person on the internet now, okay, but there are
we all sound
well-attested
like crazy people
experiences
sometimes.
over large numbers of
We
people
do.
over considerable amounts of time, where they describe having the same kind of experiences, and you have to sort of look at this and say, are these people all crazy, or is there something going on here? And if there's something going on here, then what might it be? I mean, I like the idea that they're the cracks on the edge of civilization. It's something by its nature which you cannot pin down or taxonomize.
That phrase at the very start was just so well done.
If you try to do.
One of my kids came in. Sorry about that.
Do that, and you're like, how is a sprite related to a pixie? and which one's an elf or anything like that. Like the only way to safely do anything like that would be to spend 50 years toiling away in obscurity on a vast legendarium full of complex languages and histories.
Who would do that?
Who would do such a thing? Yeah, but anyway, okay.
I would be. So I'll pause it there. If they do, that would be cool. Their podcasts are really long. That was an interesting listen. The way the phrase started, the way they talked about the ever shifting nature of fairies. I'll say it that way. Yeah, that was good. I like that a lot. I'm definitely gonna listen to more of them. I'll probably like the full podcast. Those are like 2 hours long, so yeah, I probably am not doing anything like that on stream. But I might, if they have other shorter videos like this, we may look at other ones of those. And see how that goes. That was cool though. Alright. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. That. I forgot what I was doing first.
I see beyond the sea. Oh, Captain, can we find where the treasure be? I